For all of you who listen to a podcast about something and own an Android device, do us a favor. Go to the Google Play Store and download Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android devices. We use the app and we love it. We can search the podcasts that all of us want to listen to and select them as favorites and have them all just a click away. Make sure you set a podcast about something as a favorite so you don't miss any new episodes from us. Again, the ad is Podcast Republic, available on your Android device.
Hello and welcome to a podcast about something. Calvin here. I'm here with Eric, and today we are talking about Deadpool number deuce.
I hope that's not too ominous for you if you like the movie or not. I'm a little... If I guess we're opening up our opening thoughts, we're going to go ahead and say we thought it was a little bit mediocre. Yeah, we saw two movies. We both did, right?
Yeah, I saw this and I saw Solo. I'll say we're not going to do any spoilers on Solo because it's still a little fresh. There will be spoilers for Deadpool, so keep that in mind as you listen.
Definitely, yes.
Or turn it off if you don't want to be spoiled. There's probably not that much to really spoil. So we're not going to do any Solo things. For me personally, I liked Solo better than I liked Deadpool.
Interesting.
Other than Emilia Clarke, because I'm just not a fan. If you've
follow
seen our
Twitter,
back and forth on Twitter, you can see our comparisons.
She can do no wrong, in my opinion.
She can do no right, in my opinion. You've obviously never seen Terminator Genesis.
I wasn't that interested in it, alright? I'm not a big Terminator fan.
You could go ahead and keep skipping it.
Yeah, I know.
But I liked Solo. I thought it was fun. And I don't think Star Wars always has to be this deep, light versus dark, good and evil. Like, it was just a fun movie. It was a good way to spend 2 hours. I was in Tampa at the time. Right. You know, I was there for work, had nothing to do at night. I went to see it. I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like I wasted my time there.
No, I didn't either. And I watched it.
And I don't necessarily feel like I wasted my time at Deadpool either, but there have been movies that I've gone to see that I do feel like that.
Yeah, that's what I was telling my friends. Like, I usually go see some of these big blockbusters on Thursday night before they're officially slated to come out. And I'm going to be honest with you, I had a long day. It was a Thursday, and I've been up early and all that kind of... No, for Deadpool 2. I dozed off for a few short seconds. Like, I'm like, whoa. And so, which hasn't happened to me in a theater since I went to go see what was like the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean, where my sister told me I was out for a solid 10 minutes.
That's an airplane movie right there. That is not a
theater movie. But anyway, point being is, I still would tell some of my friends that would ask me about it. I would pay money to see it. Like, I don't regret giving up my money to go see this movie.
If you were on the fence about going to watch and you still haven't seen it and you're listening to this before we get into spoilers, go see it. It's worth going to see.
Right. You can always come back to us if you really want.
Yeah, we'll be here. We're on the webs.
So we're going to get into some of our pros and cons. Like I said, we're pretty on the fence about this movie, especially in comparison to the first one, which... There have been some critics I've listened to out there that said they liked it better than the first one. I'm like, I don't know how that's possible.
That's not a good take.
So I really, truly enjoyed the first one. It's not to say that I didn't enjoy this one.
There's something else I disagree with. I heard a critic, or it was something else I was listening to. Their take was Zazie Beetz, not good in this movie.
That's false.
That's 143% false.
No, I'd go 144.
Whoa. Yeah. So let's start with Zazie.
Yeah, let's start with her. I got
her
a few
in
notes
Atlanta.
on her too. Yeah, she's great.
And maybe I can see how you don't get her dry, sarcastic. Like, she's perfect in this movie.
She's got a great banner with Ryan.
Yeah, in associating it with Ryan Reynolds and like him always being on point with his witty comebacks and her just being like, yeah, whatever. And like saying kind of like what comes to her mind and just like flat affect tone.
My favorite Zazie Beetz. You hear yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
So, it was, I thought, obviously an easy line to deliver, but it was done in only the way she can do it.
Because you have to have somebody that just, that can just have no emotion while still being super funny and like you understand what they're trying to get across.
And one thing that helps her in my eyes is the fact that her action scenes were so well done she really appeared to me like somebody who A, was very lucky, B, knew it, and C knew how to use it.
Yeah.
Like, it made that whole, the same thing that confused Deadpool was the same thing that was, like, really portrayed well in the storyline.
Right, yeah. And another take that I read this time on The Ringer, was that they need to give Domino her own movie, and I'm 143% in agreement with that one. I don't know that you can build a movie around her, but I would definitely go see it.
She needs another X-Force film, I guess, to make her, maybe unpack her character a little bit more than it was.
Yeah, the only problem with putting her front and center of the movie is I don't know if that works as what she does well. I don't know if that works as the main focus. If she doesn't have somebody like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool to play off of.
Like I said, if they found a way to develop her character even further in a future X-Force or maybe even Deadpool 3, I would not be abject to going to see that the same way I do all these other movies, because her character is already interesting to me. I only want to see it develop a little bit more and get better before, you start throwing $60, $70, $80 million into a movie for essentially right now is what a secondary character is.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
And I mean, but, Marvel's been pretty, successful with that also.
Oh yeah. And it's not like these movies cost as much as the recent MCU films.
Right.
And so, anyway, next point.
Zazie was great.
Yeah.
You go with your point. You've got it broken down in pros and cons. Mine are just like general thoughts, so I'll just play it off of what you got.
I thought Cable was awesome in a lot of ways, and I actually did listen to Kevin Smith talk about Deadpool 2, and he loves every Marvel film.
He loves everything.
He loves everything. He wants to show so much love, and I like that's kind of part of the reason I like him. He doesn't really have a whole lot of negative stuff, but he's also not afraid to say it. But he goes, it was almost saved by Cable. The introduction of Cable was almost like a jarring effect to make it a little more interesting than what it was turning out to be. Mm-hmm. And I thought the movie was heading, and I agreed with him when he says this, if you ever watch his reviews, I thought that this was heading in a weird direction that was oddly too...
It was not Deadpool?
Yeah. But also cuddly? The same thing as Deadpool in the sense that they were kind of going with a flashback to start everything off, and then all of a sudden you fast forward to the present, and I'm like, oh, they did it again. I thought they'd figure out kind of a new and fresh way to introduce the storyline.
I mean, he blew himself up pretty damn good there.
Oh, yeah, but he was also burned alive and reduced to ashes in the first movie, and that was actually kind of a cool little resurrection. So, but Cable, back to the original point, Cable, welcome to the summer of Brolin.
Yeah.
I mean, he is absolutely...
The Brolin-sance.
He is absolutely... And let's not forget this, folks. Sicario, the second Sicario movie, which if you haven't seen the first one, you check that out. If you're like a cartel, you like maybe a Breaking Bad fan or something along those lines. Brolin and Benicio del Toro. Emily Blunt was great, but she's not going to be in the second one. I'm telling you, for a non-superhero movie, I'm really pumped to see this one. And this is the third movie in 3 months that he is going to be starring and ruling the box office in, because I guarantee you this one jumps to number one before Ant-Man and Wasp takes it back.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised, going back to Solo a little bit, they didn't actually overtake that. We had a little talk about that on the last one, that we thought Deadpool would be there until Solo came out, and Solo didn't overtake them.
Right.
And, I thought that was odd, but I also think,
the second week?
It was Deadpool's second week and Solo's first.
Solo's opening night. That's gotta sting. But they're all under the same umbrella at this point.
Yeah,
so, mostly.
Think Solo, with Solo, the last Star Wars movie was barely 6 months ago. Mm. So, that's tight.
Maybe you could have waited a little bit longer.
Yeah, and they're the same movie. Every Star Wars movie is mostly the same. You're getting the same type of story, kind of. With Marvel movies, each different movie basically tries to tell a different genre of story. The Captain America movies try and tell these kind of spy thrillers. Mm-hmm. Ant-Man is a usually a heist film type thing.
Yeah.
Iron Man is kind of more your straight action with the Avengers as well. Doctor Strange tried to be Inception of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they can release those movies in close succession, but Star Wars can't really, because the movies kind of turn out the same, and I love them.
Right.
But and I spend as much time in that world as you'll let me, but I could see why some people wouldn't want to, alright, we just saw this movie.
The last movie was supposed to be really great, ended up kind of falling. Really, well, I definitely didn't have too many complaints about it myself. I find those characters very interesting. However, I don't necessarily think it was on par with what they could have been capable of. And there's a lot of people, I think I give it like a 75 or a 70 grade on a scale of 1 to 100 or something, if you had to go like Rotten Tomatoes on all of it. But I thought Solo was kind of trapped in that same boat of getting out in front of the summer blockbuster and putting yourself at the forefront way too close to Infinity War. But I'm going to come back to this point in my final thoughts on Deadpool 2. I thought Deadpool 2 made a huge mistake of being released, just even though it was originally 2 weeks, and ended up being 3 weeks, but it was like...
can't live up to what Infinity War and even Black Panther. Black Panther's still in theater. It's on DVD and it's still in theaters in some places.
In some places, yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I think they need to spread these things out. I'd be willing to wait a little bit to see a good Deadpool 2 movie, just so you don't have to roll it out right in front or I don't know, piggyback off of the success of Infinity War, if that's what you're really trying to do with Sony. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know what
Fox.
The accomplishment... Fox. Okay, sorry. Sony Spider-Man, sorry. Anyway, I don't really know what they were trying to accomplish by planting that flag on that weekend. And in Infinity War...
They wanted to beat Solo, I think.
Infinity War, yeah, I know. But
well,
that's also... It's soon to be the same entity,
right?
If they can get through the legal stuff. So I don't know why they'd be trying to hurt each other in the process. Point being, I don't know. We're getting into business talk now, but all I'm saying is that I thought Deadpool 2 would have been well served to be a mid-June release, or maybe even late July after all the Ant-Man and Wasp stuff, because it's not as big of a story, obviously, as Infinity War. So I thought after all that cooled off, Deadpool would swoop in late summer and really have a big blockbuster weekend and be a little bit more examined, I guess, because I
think if you examine it,
I don't know how ready I was for comedy in a superhero movie as much as I was coming off of Infinity War. I was still kind of in that. Also, jury's out. However, all I'm saying is, I was still feeling Infinity War as a movie fan. Don't know how ready I was to just watch this whole thing. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm all caught up in the whole cinematic universe thing of it all, and Deadpool really doesn't have one yet.
And Deadpool didn't feel like it had stakes. Going back to let's just talk about this movie. Like,
dude, I almost forgot Vanessa died.
Yeah,
halfway through the movie.
It didn't matter that she died.
It didn't
really.
matter.
And the weird death
just
scenes,
mourned sickly.
Yeah,
for
the weird
a few
death
days.
scenes were a little over the top. Like that's not Deadpool. That's I don't know what that is. That's terms of endearment.
Right.
Is that a love movie? Sounds like one, right? And that they tried to have the same movie and do something different at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And they got stuck in the middle.
And they spent a lot of time trying to almost double cross us as fans.
Yeah.
From what we saw in the trailers, the same way Infinity War was trying to do just to keep some level of secrecy.
Yeah.
I thought that Deadpool used that redirection to kind of mislead us in a funny way, but I ended up having some cons about that approach.
Well, so they build up their team. Well, he first goes with Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Yukio. Hi, Yukio.
Hi, Yukio.
That was like the funniest thing. He'd just be tearing down Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and then
she never stopped smiling.
Yeah.
Hi.
And she'd just be sitting there like taking it, and then all of a sudden, and then he'd
the complete emotional opposite.
Stop for a second and go,
Negasonic.
Hey, Yukio. Hello, Wade. But so it just they got stuck in the middle between wanting to do something different and wanting to still be the same. And it didn't go anywhere. They said, all right, we're going to build a team. So he joins, the X-Men as a trainee. And then that doesn't work out.
That jersey was funny.
Yeah.
I thought the jersey was a nice touch.
That was cool. He goes to jail. And then he tries to build another team with his X-Force. They all die. Spoilers. Rob Delaney as Peter does not make it through this movie. I love Rob Delaney, by the way. He's great.
He just had a Netflix special, right?
I don't know if he had Netflix. I think he does, but he also had a show on Amazon that's been canceled now.
Oh, okay.
It was called... Why can't I think of it? We'll get back to you. Willie's working on that for us. But yeah, he was great, and so they killed the team, so they're like, alright, this is back to Deadpool. Like, he's not having all this lovey-dovey feelings, he's got a team, and then they end it with now he's got a team. So it was like, they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. Catastrophe. That's the show. Thank you, Willie.
Catastrophe.
Yeah, that was a great show on Amazon. Check it out if you're a Prime subscriber. If you're not a Prime subscriber, you should subscribe to Prime. Amazon, give us some money. We'll give you these plugs all day.
Yeah, I'll give you the plug all day.
So that was my thought on it. It was like they were half measures on everything. Oh, we don't want to build a team. Yeah, we do want to build a team. He's Deadpool. He's a loner. Oh, no, he's ended up with a team anyways.
Right. I wanted more Terry Crews. I can't get enough Terry Crews. I'm sorry. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah. Brad Pitt also was
Brad Pitt made a cameo. Matt Damon.
And
Alan Tudyk. And fun fact, I don't know if you guys know this, but Ryan Reynolds also did the voice of Juggernaut.
He did. I was wondering. I hadn't looked. Yeah. I looked the night I saw it. Didn't see anything because he's just Juggernaut's credited as himself.
I was watching a fan theory video, and they actually replayed some of the music that would play when Juggernaut was kind of being him. And I didn't hear the lyrics in the theater, or even the second time I watched it. I didn't hear it, and it's actually really kind of funny.
Is it the song they play at the end of the credits? Did you stay till the very end of the credits?
That opera song. It probably was. I didn't stay at the end of the credits, though.
Like on the F Juggernaut?
Yeah.
Yeah, they played it at the end of the credits.
I kind of wish...
I was mad because the one PF told me to stay all the way to the end, and it was just for that, and I was like, that wasn't worth staying.
I kind of wanted to hear him just go, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
So that was...
I thought that was for sure coming up.
By the way, we relisted our podcast on a new host, and we marked it as explicit now, so you can go explicit if you want.
Okay, I'm not going to drop all kinds
of you don't have to if you don't want.
Yeah, I know.
But we can now. We hadn't in the past.
I want to keep up. I want to keep some people a little...
So that was a note that I had is I thought Vinnie Jones should have been doing the Juggernaut again. Because he was terrible as being as
Wait, what's his name?
Vinnie Jones.
Was that the X-Men?
He was in the X-Men 3, yeah. And he's in Euro Trip. Okay. I just like his voice. Like I think he should have kept voicing.
Wait, he was Sphinx, right? In Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yeah, I think so. Vinny, I haven't seen Gone in 60 Seconds.
Vinny, look that up.
Willie.
Alright. Wait. How did I get your name wrong,
Willie? This is a good time to take a break. Let's take a break to hear from our friends over at the Challenging Opinions podcast. Check them out on all your podcasts.
Yeah, that's him. Voices. I'm sorry. Gone in 60 seconds.
All right, we're still going to take a break.
Sphinx.
Challenging Opinions. Check it out. Listen to
Challenging Opinions. Great job.
We'll be back in a minute.
Hi, I'm William Campbell, the presenter of Challenging Opinions.
Challenging Opinions is the podcast where ideas are tested. Whether you are left or right, conservative or progressive, devout or skeptic. What matters is the strength of your argument, not the strength of your voice.
Every week I talk to someone new and put their position to the test. Search Challenging Opinions wherever you find podcasts or go to challengingopinions.com.
All right, thanks for that. Again, Challenging Opinions. Check them out. Let's just go, what were your overall takeaways?
My overall takeaways, and I touched on this earlier, was the timing in which the movie came out in relative, right square between Infinity War and Ant-Man and the Wasp, where you got the key event in a long-awaited storyline coupled by a lot of questions after the movie was done. And people are thinking about what Ant-Man and the Wasp has to do with this. And I think, I want to say Fox made kind of a mistake in the timing of this movie as far as really trying to get the audience out there. Because when it came out in February of, 2016?
Yeah, it was Valentine's Day.
It was Valentine's Day weekend. It was a wonderful marketing job. There was really not a whole lot bracketing that particular movie. And obviously it was very high demand that project.
They marketed it as a love story movie.
And it was fun. That's what made it fun.
And this one they tried to market as a family movie. And then they kind of played into that a little too much.
A little too much,
yeah.
I thought.
It wasn't this is the opposite of what we're marketing it as the first one was.
But like I said, I thought I would have liked it a little more if I had saw it later or when there wasn't anything else going on in the movie world that I like to involve myself in.
Right.
So I think for this particular genre, it could have made a little bit of a mistake, even though, like I said, I'm not hating this movie. I don't.
But it's fine.
But like I said, I would pay money to go see it. I don't regret
you paid money
to the
twice.
theater. So anyway, I thought like late July, mid-June or something where you could get enough space away from the MCU movies. And especially after Infinity War, I needed some time. This movie made me laugh. It had some great parts. Some stuff I really liked, but I thought it was kind of
funny stuff.
The one-liners were more of the same, even though they were different.
I think part of that was T.J. Miller got played down. I don't know if that was just because he's busy or because of Me Too, which is fine. Me Too should exist, and I'm glad that women are pushing back, and they should. But like you could definitely tell, like they were like, we can't cut everything with him because like he exists, and like he has to like there are lines that he says that we can't necessarily give to somebody else.
Exactly.
Or like we can't have somebody else running that bar unless you just replace him as an actor altogether.
Right.
Play into it or whatever. Which Deadpool is probably one of the movies that kind of could.
Right.
But you could definitely tell it lacked his quips.
It definitely did, and I thought that was and that's a good point, Mike, because I didn't really think about this because he's a secondary character.
Right.
So you don't tend to think about him like just off the cut unless you're a huge T.J. Miller fan. Which I
forgot he was in the movie until I showed up, and I'm like, oh yeah, he should be doing more. Like he did a lot.
He should have been doing more, but you could tell he was.
But they pulled him back,
and they cut some scenes that they could just to kind of not remind you. Oh yeah, he's also in this, even though during shooting and all this kind of stuff that he was caught up in all this Me Too stuff, and like I said, I hope for his sake he figures out a way to rectify whatever happened if it did.
T.J. Miller is a funny person on TV.
Yes.
Whatever he does in his bedroom with his weirdness, that's on him.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a good point made by you. It definitely seemed like he had a very small, like much smaller presence.
Yeah.
I think that it's okay that they were trying to do more of the same. It just, I wasn't as impressed with the first as I was the second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, vice versa. I wasn't as impressed with the second as I was the first. And I have to throw this out. I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds fan. And like the first Deadpool was such a revelation in my opinion as a film that I was just thrown back. Like I had to download it on digital the moment it came out.
I like Green Lantern because I like Ryan Reynolds so much. I liked him in Blade Trinity, which is apparently bad. I liked
good bad movies.
I liked the beginning of X-Men. His
he was my favorite part of that whole movie.
Before they sewed his mouth shut.
Yeah.
That was a great Deadpool.
Oh, I know. It was a great Wade Wilson.
It was great Ryan Reynolds being able to be Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the Deadpool arm swords. Those were pretty dope.
Yeah, I was okay with that. Although I was like
I get it, it's not Deadpool.
Scene in Nigeria where he like basically shreds all those bullets in half. For the time, that was pretty cool to me. I don't care if you hate me for saying that.
I enjoyed X-Men Wolverine.
It's a solid good bad movie in my opinion. Like it had its holes, but most comic book movies do.
A lot of things have holes. If you get caught up on holes, you're never going to enjoy anything.
So I guess my final thoughts would be, I'm not going to pander and just give it a huge rating. I'd say I'd put it like a 6.5. I mean, it made me laugh. There were funny parts in it. I love Brolin and Reynolds. Like, everybody was pretty good in this movie, but it just felt like, it was one of those things that was way overhyped, and it was for a reason, is because the product wasn't as strong as the first time around.
Right.
And it was way overhyped in like advertising and all that kind of stuff. So I think if I had to compare it to something, like, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, they did that. That was fun. Like,
it's like Home Alone 2.
Yeah. So, if Deadpool 1 was the home run, this film, I guess, was a base hit down the third baseline where it kind of gets past everybody and into the corner, and the guy stretches it to a double. Like, so the movie had some
baseball,
points.
You guys.
Yeah, it's baseball. If the movie has a chance to score, it just didn't take it. You know what I'm saying? So I guess they missed on a few things, in my opinion, and I thought they could have given us a lot more cool stuff with Terry Crews and even Rob Delaney and Peter. I thought his Twitter account leading up to the movie was fantastic, and I was looking forward to. You got to check it out. It's just kind of funny, ironic stuff, and I was looking forward to more clips like that in the movie. Like, I'm a person that's had to have a few operations on his skin cancer, for like just a few little mild forms of skin cancer. So I've had a little bit of that. But then he's putting on sunscreen in the plane, and he goes, I don't know who this Cable fellow is, but I guarantee he hasn't killed as many people as Melanoma. And I just kind of really laughed at that. Like, I thought it was hilarious.
The X-Force stuff where they're recruiting them and on the actual plane was probably the best, and the wind advisory jumping out of the plane was the best part. And it was great that everybody kept referring to the wind advisory.
The wind shear.
And I'm like, who cares? Like, why does everybody keep caring about the wind advisory?
This is why. And so I guess if you had to pick a way to pull that rug out from under us with Terry Crews and Peter's character.
Well, and nobody knew any of them were in it. Like, I guess
they were in the previews.
Was it?
Terry Crews was in the previews.
I stay out on the previews.
Yeah, you don't watch this. All right, you're listening to us, and you're wondering why he doesn't know that. He refuses to watch previews.
I watched the first preview, and that's it.
He watches the first trailer, and then he decides whether or not he's actually going to be interested in it. Me, I have no willpower. I watch everything I can. And I still didn't know what was going to happen in Infinity War. They do such a good job keeping that quiet. So.
Because the trailers were all fake.
They were all fake, and I love it. Get me pumped up, and then rip the carpet out from under me and do something even crazier. So that's what I like.
Yeah, so my thought on it was I thought there were times where it got too self-referential. Like, they would break the plot for Ryan Reynolds to just quip himself into a circle. It was like when you watch outtakes on a sitcom, like they do at the end of the episode sometimes, and they go through all the jokes that were ad-libbed, but they left them all in. Like, you know how they do it, like they show what jokes they cut or whatever? Like, it felt like they did that and then they kept them all in, and those times felt like they stretched a little too long sometimes.
I will agree with that because it was rumored that he, and Ryan Reynolds got a writing credit.
Right, and I know
he was writing jokes all the way up until the last second.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't want any of them to get cut.
And so he just kept having fresh ideas, and sometimes, like I think I get where you're coming from, it felt like a little much.
Yeah, it
like
felt
they didn't let some of the good jokes
yeah.
really sit long enough to let you laugh at them.
Instead of just doing one joke and moving on, like the first movie did a good job over making a reference to something in the real world and then just moving on. They made the reference, were like, hey, did you get it? And then made another reference.
And then made another reference, and you had to think about that. Yeah,
it's like, all right, I get it. By the fifth time you're making fun of Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, we get it. 2 times is enough on that. So that was that, and then I had an issue with Russell. I couldn't figure out who he sounded like, who his voice sounded like throughout the whole movie.
Oh, you got me. I'm stoked.
Rebel Wilson.
Oh my God.
Because they're both New Zealanders.
You just blew my mind. Are they related now? That's all I want to know.
But throughout the movie, I was like, man, his voice sounds familiar. I looked on his IMDb page and he's like a 12-year-old kid, so I don't, he hasn't done much to this point in his career. He actually did a very good job. The actor did a really good job.
That young
so I don't want to take away from that.
A really good job.
His voice, his prepubescent voice, New Zealand accent sounds exactly like Rebel Wilson's New Zealand accent as a grown adult woman. So that was my issue with Russell. And then I kind of wish that I wish it didn't work out so heroically for Deadpool. I wish Russell killed the orphanage leader, setting him on the path to, destroy the world in the future. And then Deadpool,
a future villain down the line.
Not even that. Deadpool just goes, I can't save him, and pops him. So
that
he
honestly
still
would have been
right. Deadpool's still the hero because he stopped Russell from killing Cable's family.
Yeah.
He gives him his chance to, everything else leading up to the point where they stop Cable from killing Russell happens. But then Russell burns the dude because the orphanage dude didn't deserve to go to prison. He should have been burnt. And then Deadpool's like, I did my best. Bam. Pops him.
Now, this is where, and as much as I just agreed with you that would have been kind of hilarious if they figured out how to word that right.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a TV writer.
And because it's really hard, even for a rated R movie, to watch somebody just pop some teenage kid. Even though he is dangerous and psychotic in this particular moment, I do think that they figured out the right way to tread those lines where the headmaster dies and you can give Dopinder his psychotic little breakthrough,
right. Yeah.
and you don't really have to make Deadpool seem quite as brutal as he was in the first.
Supposed to be brutal.
But I know this.
I guess that's his arc in this
hold
movie.
on.
Is he's growing, blah blah blah. Just want to see him kill people.
But here's the thing: he put a gun to why am I forgetting?
Rob Delaney.
No, in the first movie. At the end of the movie, why am I spacing on his name?
Axel. It's not his name.
Not his ass. It's not his name. No, I'm spacing on his movie. Francis. Okay, so he's got Francis. He dislocates both his shoulders. He's standing over him, and there is pleading from Colossus to just let him go and let him face his justice. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere,
right? Do that again.
That would have. I know, but
it would have played too much.
I just got done saying how I didn't like the beginning of the.
I don't remember the end of the first movie. I haven't seen it in like 3 years, so maybe that's why.
You didn't question your research at this. Anyway, no, I thought
time management.
As much as if they could have figured out a way to do that to make me laugh, I would have been cool with it, but it would have seemed too much like the first one in the way he did.
I guess, now that you explain how the first one ended again, I gotcha.
Anyway.
Colossus could have killed him. Colossus could have been the one to snap.
You know what? I thought there was a little too much Colossus in this movie. And a lot of people praise it for having more Colossus, and I wanted more Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah.
Her character and her banter with Reynolds is way underrated.
But with her, she's a less is more character, because if you put her in more,
I just want her
just standing there and staring at him flatly, because she doesn't quip as much as like Zazie Beetz. Like Zazie Beetz Domino brought that, the extra level of I'm going to be flat affectations, and I'm going to come back at you.
Yeah, but she had more lines in the first movie.
I guess.
You know,
I didn't sit there and count.
No, but like the on the overpass, that first hour of the movie, like the two of them, they're banter. I wanted a little bit more and a little bit less of Colossus. Is all I'm saying. I thought there was a little too much. I thought Colossus was hilarious at the end where he shoves the cable up Juggernaut's backside and throws
Juggernaut climbs out of the pool at the end. If you didn't notice.
Is he really?
Yeah. He starts to. He doesn't make it out of the pool, but he starts rising up.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Easter egg. Okay.
Speaking of Easter eggs, which ones did you notice?
God, there's so much flying around. I think I gotta watch it one more time.
Yeah.
There's some pop culture references. There's honestly, if I had to pick a favorite, it was the X-Men closing the sliding doors to not let Deadpool see them in that.
Because they're like, can't we get one A-lister here? And they're like,
I was like, like Quicksilver's in there, Patrick Stewart's in there. I was like, oh god,
it was just Jordan McAvoy, because everybody else was it was the new Beast.
I just saw a bald head, to be honest with you.
It
was kind of quick, and if you're not expecting it,
I've almost missed it because I was just like, scratching my eyes or something. Like I just wasn't looking, and I saw the door close. I'm like, wait.
What I honestly would have loved is like Halle Berry walking out into a hallway, like retreating right back into a room and locking the door. Like that would have been fun. Like,
we'll write the next Deadpool.
Yeah.
The ones I liked, they called out to Juggernaut is Charles Xavier's brother, which is canon in the comics.
Canon? I didn't know that.
There's a quick shout out on top of Dopender's taxi at one time. It's got a little, I don't know what they call those things, but the little ads on top of the taxis. It says Alpha Flight.
If you live in Fort Myers, it's mostly strip clubs that get those ads around here.
This one was Alpha Flight, which is a Canadian, basically the Canadian Avengers in the comics is what Alpha Flight is. Really? And Ryan Reynolds,
that's kind of
known Canadian. Mm-hmm. So he threw that in there for it. And then I like
that's actually really cool. I really kind of dig those.
Yeah, those really little things that if you don't understand that there's 70 years of history on these things, you would completely miss.
Like if you don't get that the Russo brothers also directed Arrested Development, and then in Infinity War there was
check out
one of the characters. One of the characters was in one of the collector's cages, and so it was like you'll know what I'm talking about if you watch Arrested Development and or are an MCU fan. But I really enjoy that deeper level Easter egg, especially when I understand
Deadpool calling Cable Thanos was good.
That was good.
And then he tells Juggernaut the sun's getting real low.
Yes, he does.
That was good. I thought you would call that one out.
I do, like I said, there's so much flying around, like I can't.
I had to.
It was hard to keep up with. It really was
watching.
So.
Yeah. That was it. I don't think there's going to be a Deadpool 3. I think they'll probably shift into going straight X-Force.
One guy I listened to brought up a good point. He goes, he says, it wouldn't be surprising if they just did X-Force and then just had Deadpool 4 and never even bothered to make a Deadpool 3.
They would do that.
So yeah, that was, Listen,
or like the Fallout video game series,
right.
Jump from Fallout 4 to Fallout 76.
Yeah, just to make it appear more advanced. I just want to our closing, closing statements. I didn't hate this movie by any stretch.
No, it was enjoyable.
I just really am scratching my head at some of the critical acclaim. I laughed a lot. I don't feel bad for having gone to pay to see this twice.
I don't get the love of it. You're right.
But it's not better than the first one. Come on, people. Like, at least, I don't know why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong.
In 3 years either.
Yeah. So tell me why I'm wrong, and I will love to have that debate with you. But listen, like I said, I dozed off the first time after a long day. I should have been more pumped to see this movie. And then secondly, it's like, it just felt too much like more of the first movie, which the first movie had the perfect amount of whatever kind of BS it was supposed to be. And this was just more BS on top of more. And like you said, I should have been able to think of that Hulk reference. It's the sun's getting real low right off the top of my head. And I couldn't because there's just so much swirling around in there that I'm trying to keep up with.
All right, they threw too many things all at once. Yeah. You can't catch the first Easter egg because by the time you catch the first one, they're on the fifth one.
And damn it, get me Terry Crews back.
I could live or die without him.
No, I want Terry Crews
back.
Fine.
Even if he has Cheeseburger Eddie.
Cheeseburger Eddie. Oh my gosh. So, by the way, if you're going to look for Brooklyn Nine-Nine next year, look for it on NBC. Yes. They're going to keep the Fox, inexplicably, I don't know how they did this.
They're selling all kind of everything. They're going all the way. It's mostly going to be news and live sports, from what I've heard. They're not going to do a lot of scripted stuff.
NBC will take care of Andy Samberg.
They'll
take care of that show because A, it's a ratings. It gets good ratings, and B, it's got a good demographic, and C, he's got the SNL relationship.
Yeah, well, and a lot of those people come from SNL, either in the writers' room or on the show, so it honestly makes when I saw Fox cancel it and NBC picked it up, I was like, it's not on NBC? Because I don't watch it. So I was kind of like, it seems like an NBC show.
Yes.
With all the SNL alums.
Yes, it really does. And I don't know. I'm glad it got re-picked up again because I don't have to order Hulu. So
don't order Hulu. Order Hulu if you want to pay us. We'll say order Hulu.
Yeah, of course.
Seinfeld's on there.
All right.
And Boy Meets World apparently.
So yeah, I didn't hate this. Like I said, it's like a 6.5 to a 7, I guess, if I had to be a little bit more generous than I want to be.
It's an enjoyable 2 hours of your life.
Yeah. I mean, hey, when it comes on FX, you're going to keep it on in the background as you do laundry.
You probably want to watch it on HBO.
Yeah, you probably want to watch it on HBO. I still don't know how they get away with showing Straight Outta Compton on FX, but they do, somehow.
Cuts it down to like a solid 90 minutes.
Yeah, right? All right. Well, thank you for joining us. This has been our Deadpool 2 review. Cal, where can they find us at?
Everywhere.
Everywhere
you listen to podcasts.
You just Google us now.
Yeah, Google it. We're out on the nets. Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, anywhere you listen to a podcast, we're probably there. If we're not there, send us a tweet at APA something and say, hey guys, get on this site, and we will.
Definitely. And it's been a pleasure. We hope you'll tune in. What's next on our docket here? We're going to try to do a little NBA recap. Yeah. If you're a sports fan, we'll do a little NBA recap. Maybe just go a little more in depth about Solo if you wanted to. I think I might need to see that a second time.
I don't know that I had more in depth on it. It was just fun. Okay. It's not a deep movie, really.
Okay, good. All right. So I don't know. Maybe don't expect that. I don't know. Maybe if we feel differently.
I think I tweeted about it. So go hit Twitter.
So thanks, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.